You've found the Rebirth podcast, and we are off of our hiatus. If you are new here, welcome. You found a space in the universe where things slow down to the pace of being human, a place to sit and come and gather around the campfire, collect some warmth, and share your brilliance with the world. Did you know that the intake you have of what you listen to and how you imbibe your body affects your day? It affects your perspective. Here, we want to return our focus to enjoying our days and sharing our brilliance with the world. If you just found this corner of the internet, we are so glad you are here. Thanks for stopping by. If you are one of those listeners that's been here for a while and thought, hey, Kate, where did this podcast go over the summer? We're going to talk about that, seasons, and take the break into the next chakra. We were talking about energy centers. We're going to cover that and more on this episode on The Authentic Voice on Tend the Flame podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. So let's go right into talking about the chakra, the energy center of the throat. And then if you want to hear about seasons and connecting and pausing and recreating, I'll talk about that at the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are new, there are preceding episodes that take us from the root all the way up to now we are to the throat. And each center of the body, of the energy centers, has a seed sound. It has a focus. And on all of our episodes, we'll be giving you tools. Maybe you're inquisitive. Maybe you already know this, but like me, you could tune the dial to something that will make you feel more constricted and more anxious. Or you could take control of your mind and set it upon a place that will bring more of what you are seeking into your day. So, the throat chakra. Have anyone ever said to you, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all? I think we could take a page of that parenting book from a couple generations ago, and instead of turning this statement into blame or shame, turn it on to ourselves. If we have nothing nice to say to ourselves, maybe we should just hum a tune. Did you know that humming actually creates separation of space between an anxious thought and a place of solution? So if you are having a moment where you are a very applicable fear is happening and you would like to curb the fear and tune yourself in a little closer to a solution, did you know that humming one of your favorite songs could do it? You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to be excellent at anything. You don't even have to go on social media. You could just start to hum. You could hum a song. What does that tell us about the power of our voice and the power of the vocal cords and the frequency that we have to calibrate ourselves? We can calibrate ourselves to, oh no, it's happening again. Why is it always like this to me? Or we could hum, which I won't do to you on the microphone, and turn the wheel of our mind, turn the aperture, the frequency, and create space for a solution. The beat sound, the seed sound for in Sanskrit for the throat center is hum. So it makes it really easy. Hum. Human being is you. Hum. In the beginning, there was the word. There's life and death in the word. It's sourcing from two different philosophies, saying the same thing. How we tune our vibration, what we do with the power center we have in our throat and in our mouth can literally change everything. When I was working on calibrating my words more easily towards my belief structure, that's a nice way of saying if I didn't have anything nice to say, to learn to keep my mouth closed. I started using the Snapdragon essence. You know what? I don't have the bottle in front of me. I would just Google it. I can put the link. And I thought, oh, that's so interesting. So one of the things, if flower essences are a new topic for you, we do have an episode where we interviewed Ronnie Groff. I think it was Man, that was a long time ago. Those were several years ago we did that. She did a fantastic description about what flower essence is and how, again, it's a frequency medicine, right? And if you're saying, oh, goodness, where am I on the internet that they're talking about frequency medicine? Well, you chose a sound wave recorded on the internet, both of which you cannot see. And here I am in your kitchen and in your car talking to you. So frequency is very powerful. And it's one of those things that the more they say it's not true and it's not powerful, I think the more we need to pay attention to it. So I started using the Snapdragon flower essence. And so flower essences are exactly what they sound like. They are the essence of the flower. There's a distillation. You take a dropper, you put a few drops into your mouth, and it is a frequency. You know, coffee. It is also caffeinated and is a stimulant, but coffee is a frequency. Tea is a frequency. Um, Water is a frequency. Good water is an even more powerful frequency. So I was imbibing that frequency, and I do, took a look at the flower itself, and I thought, isn't it interesting that that which I am using to curb my language and turn the dial to that which I'm intending to create in my life is of the flower of the snapdragon. Snapdragon. You know, in some mythologies, dragons are horrendous, and in some mythologies, dragons are protectors, right? So your words can be used to destroy, they can be used to create, they can be used to protect. You know, fire is the same way, right? Fire in a hearth provides food and flame and community. Fire without containment destroys. So do your words. So do your words, my friend. So for the essential oil that I wanted to recommend to you, if you're looking, I've been using a lot of holy basil, tulsi, and in that anti-inflammatory, but also in that toning of the vocal cords. That is what I think of in the tonality of it, the anti-inflammatory property of it. If you want to go a little more into the color of the throat center, the blue, get blue chamomile. The essence comes out in your hand blue. So color, frequency, sound. We're in a world right now where anyone, self included, can have that platform for voice. And I love that. I love the availability of creative inspiration. The intention for what we are sharing becomes even more important and it becomes even more powerful because since anyone can share their voice and their opinions, you get the gift of discernment. You get the gift of choosing what information you take in, what information you share, where you practice patience, and where you practice power of exertion, because patience is very powerful, isn't it? Don't we celebrate people who have the patience to endure, to hold their tongue, to not be dissuaded by slander, opinion, or judgment? Don't we look at people and say, oh my goodness, all of that doubt, and there they go. They must have learned to quiet themselves and not be dissuaded by the words around them. Words can be like arrows, can't they? They can really hurt. You know, in a really simple example, I am recording this in October in Philadelphia of 2024. And whether you're a sports fan or not, there is a really high attendance for the Philadelphia Phillies. And I often say to the kids around me, my school children, I have a son, and this idea, I say to them, can you imagine? And this is what I say to you, listener, because part of you is a child. Yeah. Can you imagine whatever you love to do, right? if it's golf, if it's crocheting, if it's cooking, just something that you love and you give time to, and you go to do it, and 40,000 people are screaming at you while you do it. 40,000 people are using the power of their voice to either uplift you or intimidate you. What do you have inside to counterbalance that as an athlete? I find that deeply fascinating. Because how many of us have overheard a conversation once in our life? It might not have even been negative, but our translation of it was negative. And those words hurt. Did we see them? No. Did they carry a frequency? Yes. Did we let that frequency change our day and our mindset? Possibly, depending on where we are. So when we think about the power of the voice, we think about what are we using it for? What are we allowing to affect us? And I've been thinking about the power of discernment, discernment on what you speak, and discernment on what you consume, what you let into your ears. Like you're letting my voice in right now, and you'll discern what part of this is applicable to you and what part isn't. And I used to teach English, and it was so much fun to teach kids high school, to teach kids how to discern an argument, not a fight, a philosophical argument, and how to position themselves to speak and advocate for the opposite of their personal choice. And this is in reference to literature. This isn't in reference to personal choices or getting into the belief structures of high schoolers, because that wasn't, as a public educator, I had no right to cross the boundary of the family or the belief structures of my kids. What we could do is take a book and say there was an argument with two of the characters, and the student really felt for character A and thought character B was wrong. I could let her advocate for character A, and then I could ask her to partner up with somebody else and switch spots in character B. And the student would say to me, "But I don't like character B." And I said, "I'm not asking you to like them. Asking you to imagine from a different perspective, because that's a skill and you'll need it." It's very powerful for teenagers to learn to switch their language to advocate for a different position and know that it did not affect their personal essence. It was just the practice of seeing things from a different side. Once we speak words, they're out there. Some disciplines will even tell you that they go on into infinity. That's why a lot of manifestors will say, be very, very, very careful of the word you put after I am. I am frustrated. I am broke. I am lonely. I am done. I am unable. Or I am learning. I am growing. I am amazed. I am invincible. Is the dragon protecting or is the dragon destroying? Hum or hue for the sound. Human being. Human being. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. What is your relationship with your voice? How often, dear listener, are you holding your tongue when you shouldn't be? How often do we engage in conversation to be accepted? I would say over the past few years, some of that has changed so diametrically. I would say some people have learned to move about the world from center. And I would say some people have been totally thrown off center. And I would also say that that could be the same person. In some ways, some clarity has come, and in some ways, clarity has been elusive. And here's what I say to that. I think we are being grown in ways that are new and positive. I think we're being shown that we have innate power and ability to create harmony. And I think the areas of your life that seem to be escaping your control are the largest invocations for change. And I think the power of how you speak to yourself about what you do not understand and what you are looking to grow has more magnified assistance than we were previously taught. I don't know if you can talk your way into a new reality, but I know you can talk yourself out of it. I know that how you speak of yourself will affect how you hold your spinal cord. I know how you speak to your children will affect both of you. And I know that you tuned in today because something told you that tending your flame and reconnecting to the power of your voice when you use it and when you hold it is a key for whatever it is that you're working on right now. And that is the whole point of this podcast. It's to call you over here to this corner, to sit in this circle around the flame, and to remember the absolute brilliance that was given to you upon your birth, and to remember the abilities that you have to use your voice when it's necessary, and to enable silence when compassion is needed. I think there's a growing confidence in those that are seeking to learn who they are and why they're here. I think it's a very powerful place to move from. I actually put out a personal inquiry, about this podcast. And within 20, so I spoke it. I spoke an intention to gain clarity about this podcast. And 24 hours later, I was on the phone with a good friend and she mentioned, how's the podcast going? Where is it? And I thought, oh, ask and it shall be given. I asked for an answer and I got it. Do you do that? Do you cultivate a relationship with yourself enough that if you ask yourself a question, you'll get an answer? It's a practice and it's a muscle and it works. And we talked about the podcast, and I realized, it's time again to speak to you, to encourage you to speak up, to encourage you to speak kindly, and to remind myself that through these words that we share with each other, they can land in the perfect moment that you need to hear them. And that reciprocity between us creates another spark between here and Philadelphia and Ireland and Spain and London and Japan, Texas, and even Canada. And as you're listening to these words, you're like, why is she telling me where these are landing? Because I'm letting you know that the mindset that you are holding and the flame of clarity that you are choosing to engage with yourself in personal inquiry and to imbibe yourself with positivity creates a connection with other like parts. When we look at the throat chakra, we are sitting between the heart center and the pineal gland, right? The I'm so sorry. Well, yes, the pineal gland, but we're actually going to be talking about the pituitary gland next. How we see internally, how we speak, and how we feel. How we feel, how we speak, how we see. What we see and what we say about what we see, what we feel and what we say about what we feel. And do we have enough space to know what is ours and what is someone else and what is environmental? And if we aren't clear or we feel stifled, and when we are asked a question, what do you want? And we open our mouths and nothing comes out, maybe it's time to hum. Maybe we take a little snapdragon flower essence, or we put some blue chamomile or lavender on our throat. Maybe we sing. Maybe we walk outside and look up to a tree. But we understand that sitting between what we see and what we feel is a power source of what we speak into existence. So maybe today you put your hand right at the base of your throat. Maybe you touch your throat on either side. And think about the last time you engaged with your voice in consideration that it sets forth a vibration into the world and into the universe. And the next time you speak the words, I am, speak kindly. Speak life into yourself. Speak hope and love into yourself. What do you have to lose? What could you gain? Keep this short for today so that the power of this voice hands the microphone over to you. Please use it and let me know how it goes. Thank you so much for tuning in to Tend the Flame podcast. And I'll come back next week and tell you about the season after you do this work, sitting with yourself and your voice. I'll come back next week and talk to you about what I learned by staying silent this summer and why sometimes silence is the most profound place to be for creativity. If you enjoy this episode, please share it with a friend. Hit the like or subscribe button on Spotify. We need to support what we want to see more of in this world, and I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in.